So here we are again on yet another snow day, and as promised, here is an instructional video just as a supplement if you are struggling with section 9.6 practice B worksheet. Remember, you guys are required to do the evens, so I am going to go ahead and do a few of the odds. So first, let's take a look at number 1. So I'm going to do my work over here at the side. The first thing that you should see jump out at you is that negative. And so if there's a negative, we're going to factor out a -1 so that everything left inside the parentheses is positive. So we're just dividing everything by a -1, which changes the signs. So x squared plus 3x minus 28. Okay, so at that point, you are just going to ignore the -1 and you're just going to work with what's left in the parentheses, and you're going to factor that. I'm going to factor it into two binomials here. So to get x squared, we need x times x. To get a negative, we need one positive and one negative. And in order to multiply to be 28, our options are 1 times 28, 2 times 14, and 4 times 7. The question is, which combination or which set of factors is going to add to give us 3? There's no way for 1 and 28 to make 3. No way for 2 and 14 to make 3, so it must be 7. We want it to add to be a positive 7 or a positive 3, so that means that we need -4 and positive 7. Make sure that you bring down your -1, and this is your final answer. Okay, so next let's take a look at number 7. In number 7, there's nothing that we can factor out, so we're going to go straight into factoring these numbers. Okay, so what's going to give us 6c squared? Well, we have the option of 1 times 6 or 2 times 3. So 1c times 6c or 2c times 3c to give us 6c squared. The only factors of 2 are 1 times 2. So if we put our parentheses down, we are multiplying to be a positive here, so we either need a positive times a positive or a negative times a negative. But since we're adding to be a positive, they both have to be positive. We know that the only way we can multiply to be 2 is 1 times 2, so we could put our 1 and 2 in there. We know that those are not going to change. Okay, so now what we have to do is we have to test these other factors for the front numbers here. Okay? So let's do 1c and 6c. Now how do we test it? 1 times 6c is 6c. c times 2 is 2c. Now remember, we are trying to add to be the middle number. So are 6 and 2 going to give you 7? No. So that means that c and 6c are not going to work. So what are we going to do? We're going to take the c and 6c, and we're going to flip-flop them. Let's try 6c and c, and see how that changes our answer when we check it. Okay, so here we have 1 times c is c, 6c times 2 is 12c. Again, 1c and 12c does not give us 7c. Since we tried it, 1 and 6 and 6 and 1, we know that that is not going to be the factor that we're going to use, the set of factors that we're going to use. So let's try 2 and 3. So 2c and 3c. 1 times 3c is 3c. 2c times 2 is 4c. If we add those together, we do indeed get 7c. So this is your final answer. That is your factorization. Okay, the next one we're going to look at is number 17, and the directions say to solve the equation, so we have to go one step further. But first, let's do the problem just like we did the other two and factor first. Okay, so there's nothing we can pull out of here. There's nothing we can factor out. There's no GCF other than 1. So we are going to go ahead and factor, and you can just ignore this equals 0 and just work with your parentheses. The way we can get 2 is just 1 times 2. And the way we can get 10 is 1 times 10 or 2 times 5. Okay, So let's go ahead and put our 1y and 2y in, because that's not going to change. And then let's play with our other factors. Okay? We want to multiply to be a negative. So that means that 1 has to be positive and 1 has to be negative. Has to be. Okay? So let's test 1 and 10. We put 1 and 10. Remember, we are trying to add to be 1y. So 1 times 2y is 2y. Y times negative 10 is negative 10y. Those together give you negative 8y, not y, so we know that that is not going to work. Let's flip-flop the 1 and the 10 and see how that changes our answer. So we'll put 10 and 1. 10 times 2y is 20y. Y times negative 1 is negative 1y. Again, if you add those together, you do not get 1y. What does that tell you? That tells you that 1 and 10 are not the correct factors that we can use. So that means that we need to move on to 2 and 5 and test 2 and 5. So if we put 2 and 5, we get 2 times 2y is 4y. Y times negative 5 is negative 5y. If you add these together, 4y and negative 5y, you get negative 1y. The problem is we want positive 1y. So what does that tell me? That tells me that we need to change our signs. So instead of positive and negative, we are going to put negative and positive. So now we have negative 4y here, and we have positive 5y here, which gives us the positive y in the middle. Okay, so what does that mean? That means that this is factored correctly, but now we actually have to solve. Okay? When it says solve, we have to go one extra step. We have to set each factor equal to 0. And solve both equations, just like you normally would. So here we're going to add 2 to both sides, and we get y equals 2. Here we're going to subtract 5 from both sides, and then we're going to divide by 2. So we get 2 answers. Okay, so the next one we're going to look at is number 33, and again we are going to solve because it says find the zeros of the polynomial. That means that we are going to solve. Before we can solve, we just put a 0 in here for f of x. So we say 0 equals 10x squared plus 5x minus 5. Now, the 10, the 5, and the negative 5 should be jumping out at you right now because they are all divisible by 5. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to factor out a 5, which means I divide everything by 5. So 10 divided by 5 is 2, and then we have x squared. 5 divided by 5 is just 1, so all we have left is x. And then negative 5 divided by 5 is negative 1. Okay, we are solving, so what we can do here is divide both sides by 5. Why can we do that? Because just like if you're solving the equation 5x equals 15, you can divide both sides by 5. Same thing here. That's all we're doing. So let's divide both sides by 5. 0 divided by anything is still 0. 5 divided by 5 cancels. And then you have 2x squared plus x minus 1. We factor. Our only factors for 2 are 1 and 2, so 1x and 2x. The only factors for 1 are 1 and 1, but we are multiplying to be a negative, so that means that 1 has to be positive and 1 has to be negative. Let's test to see if we have the correct combination. 1 times 2x is 2x. X times negative 1 is negative 1x. If you add those together, you get positive 1x, which is what we need. That means that we have factored correctly. But we need to find the zeros, which means solve. So we have to say, okay, x plus 1 equals 0, and 2x minus 1 equals 0. Here I'm going to subtract 1 from both sides. I get x equals negative 1. Here I'm going to add 1 to both sides. I get 2x equals 1. So if I divide by 2, I get x equals 1/2. Okay, so again, you guys are responsible for the evens. I have done 4 of the odds, so hopefully that is helpful for you. And don't forget that all of the instructional videos are on my YouTube channel as well if you need to go back and refresh. But all of your evens are due tomorrow when you walk in to class on Tuesday. Have a good rest of the day.